Today's PowerPoint presentation is called No Hate VA. The state that I did my research on is the state of Virginia. Reporting hate crimes, statutory Virginia statutory of 52-8.5, and it states a superintendent shall establish and maintain within the Department of State Police a central repository for the collection and analysis of information regarding the hate crimes and groups of individuals carrying out such acts. B. State, county, and municipal law enforcement agencies shall report to the department all hate crimes occurring in their jurisdiction in a form, time, manner prescribed by the superintendent. Such as reports shall not be open to public inspection except insofar as the superintendent shall permit. And then C of this code. For purpose of this section, hate crimes mean a crime act committed against a person on his property with the specific intent of instilling fear or intimidation in the individual against whom the act is perpetrated because of race, religion, or ethnical origin, or that is committed for the purpose of restraining that person from exercising his rights under the Constitution or law of the Commonwealth of the United States. Any illegal act directed against any person or their property because of those persons' race, religion, or national origin, and all other incidents as determined by law enforcement authorities intended to intimidate or harass any individual or group because of race, religion, or national origin. Virginia hate crime data. In 2017, there were 202 hate crimes offenses reported in Virginia, and they include 38 assaults by racial bias, 44 property or vandalism crimes based on racial bias, 32 property or vandalism crimes based on religious bias, 68 biases motivated crimes against African Americans, 22 anti-Jewish crimes, 8 anti-Islamic crimes, 15 crimes based on actual or perceived homosexuality against men, and 11 crimes against persons based on mental or developmental disabilities. State and federal laws. Virginia laws include stiffer criminal penalties when crime is motivated by a bias against victim's race, color, religion, or national origin. It is also a crime in Virginia to intimidate a person or groups of persons by burning crosses, placing swastikas on certain buildings, or displaying a noose. These crimes are often investigated by your local police departments, sheriff departments, and other prosecuted by your local Commonwealth attorney. If you have been the victim of a hate crime, please report it to the office as soon as possible, as well as federal authorities. The federal law also provides enhanced criminal penalties for certain crimes that are motivated by a bias against one's race, religion, disability, ethnic origin, or sexual orientation. These violations of federal law are investigated by the FBI and the U.S. Department of Justice and are prosecuted by the United States attorneys. If you have been the victim of a hate crime, please report it to the officers as soon as possible, as well as your local and law enforcement authorities. Then we're going to talk about Statutory 18 2-423, which we talked about the additional hate crimes, and one was the burning of crosses and property of another or public place within the intent of intimidation. The penalty, prima facie evidence of intent. It shall be unlawful for any person or persons with the intent of intimidating any group of persons to burn or cause to be burned a cross on the property of another, a highway, or any other public place. Any person who shall violate this provision of this section shall be guilty of a Class 6 felony. As such, burning crosses shall be prima facie evidence of an intent to intimidate a person or group of persons. And then it has all the codes that it goes along with. The second is placing a swastika on certain property with the intent to intimidate. Penalty, prima facie evidence of intent. It shall be unlawful for any person or persons with the intent of intimidating another person or group of persons to place or cause to be placed a swastika on any church, synagogue, or any other building or place used for religious worship, or any school, education facility, or community center owned or operated by a church or religious body. A violation of the section shall be punished as a Class 6 felony. For the purpose of this section, any such placing of swastika shall be prima facie evidence of the intent to intimidate any person or groups. 1998 C337. And the last is displaying a noose on property of another or highway or other public places with the intent to intimidate. Any person who with the intent of intimidating any person or groups of persons display a noose on the private property of another without permission is guilty of a Class 6 felony. Any person who with the intent of intimidating any person or group of persons displayed a noose on a highway or other public place in a manner having direct tendency to place another person in reasonable fear, a comprehension of death or bodily injury is guilty of a Class 6 felony. 2009 C277. Kinds of hate crimes. In Virginia, hate crimes fall into two categories: crime against person and crime against property. Crime against person. This includes assault, battery, and actual threat of violence or harm. Crime against property. This includes vandalism, arson, or burning, or displaying objects with the intent to intimidate. Generally speaking, offensive speech, while inappropriately or unacceptable, does not constitute a hate crime, although actual threats of violence or harm are illegal and should be reported. Housing discrimination. In the state of Virginia, they are protected from discrimination based on state and federal laws when renting or buying a home or an apartment. These protections may be also applied to housing related services like financing and insurance. When there are issues, you will report suspected housing discriminations because of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familiar status, disabilities, or elderliness. You should immediately contact the Attorney General, Division of the Human Rights, or the Virginia Fair Housing Office. Okay, and from all this, these are the references and additional information where you can find more stuff about hate crimes in the state of Virginia. We have the federal crime statute, can be found at https://www.fbi.gov. Federal hate crime statute. The Virginia statute for hate crimes is 1.2-57. 18.2-121, which is the sentence enhancements of trespassing caused by damage to property. The 18.2-422, wearing a mask in public. 18.2-423, burning of crosses in certain property. 18.2-423.01, which is burning an object or in a certain property. 423.1, placing a swastika on a certain property, or 423.2, displaying a noose in certain property.